At around 2 weeks old, Alexandria was still appearing jaundice, and our midwife suggested she do a blood workup on her. It's just a heel poke and see what's going on because sun wasn't working. We were sent down to McMaster Hospital and went through a bunch of tests to figure out why she was still jaundiced and found out that she had biliary atresia. One of the options to help with biliary atresia is to do a Kasai procedure, which is where they take bowel and attach it to your liver to create drainage for it. The Kasai for her, the surgery itself was successful. She had complications afterwards, both around her Kasai and otherwise, just hospital complications that put her in ICU for a little bit longer and postponed other events to happen afterwards. But then we finally were discharged to go home, and she was like a completely different child. The healing process happened. It took about a month for her to heal, and then she was happy for about a month, and then she became jaundice again. My mom, Christine, she offered to be Alexandria's living donor. Her and I both have the same blood type as Alexandria, the A positive match, so that you could be qualified for a living donor. But again, you have to be assessed just like Alexandria was to make sure that you are healthy, you're doing it for the right reasons. So for 3 days, my mom commuted from Burlington to Toronto every day, had blood work done, she had tests on her heart, tests on her lungs, she had physical tests done, everything you could think of to make sure that she was healthy. And to be qualified, then they would find out whether or not she would be a match for her. We were sitting at home, and my mom was in Toronto. She had her last test done. I think it's like an MRI or something she was going through. Something that she really didn't want to do. I remember that. She said it was going to be noisy and whatnot. And we happened to get the call that they had a liver for Alexandria while my mom was still in Toronto. So it was really one of those like, oh, they're taking my mom already, was what I was thinking was happening, to be honest with you. And they said, no, they actually had a deceased donor for Alexandria and that we were to go to Toronto right away. The first moment we got to see her in recovery, my husband looked at me and said, like, she's pink. Like, instant change in her appearance. Instant change in her appearance in the sense of her size as well, unfortunately retaining the water and all the fluids that she had on her beforehand. She was probably the size then that she was at almost a year old, and then had lost it all. I think there's something about 4 liters of fluid extra was on her body, and she was only like maybe 14 pounds, I think, 16 pounds at the time. So she had gained a lot, but her skin tone was amazing. She was still smiling, but you saw like difference in her eyes because the whites of her eyes were white and the color was vibrant. She was just looked like a completely different child, but the same child at the same time. It's kind of just one of those, gives you the goosebumps. The Canadian Liver Foundation and liver transplant research are important to us, obviously, for the reasons that I mentioned about my daughter needing the transplant, but also as a whole. You never know when somebody's going to be affected by one of the various types of liver disease that are out there, and the only way to find solutions for them is for liver transplant research, to go and figure out different procedures, whether it's the doctors or scientists, even pharmacists and all that. You can't really find a solution to enhance people's lives without having the funding to do the research.